Okay, hello and welcome, Chris. This is a private video just for you because you were one of my major patrons for the month of May 2015. And I'd like to say, first of all, before I even start, thank you very much, Chris, for that. If anything, I think you have definitively seen this year how my content has improved and changed and is getting better because of the contributions of the patrons. I mean, just the soundproofing foam you can see behind me, the microphone I'm using to make this video. There's a lot of good improvements that have happened because of that, and I want to say thank you for being one of the biggest people, at least for the month of May, who contributed to that. And you know, it's awesome that I get to take some time out to sit down and talk directly to certain people who want to see me continue doing this full time and appreciate the content that I put out. And I have absolutely, you know, a great time answering these kind of questions. So I saw that you gave me 4 questions in particular, and I'm going to go through them. I'll be honest, I don't know if my answers are going to be exactly what you're looking for, because some of these questions are kind of almost typical questions that people would ask me over time, or even, I remember one of my high school counselors asked me a question like this, but you'll see what I mean. So your first question was, what was the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to me? And, you know, you think back over the years of all this stuff, and the thing is that typically I'm not one to really get embarrassed. In fact, when I'm in a situation where it looks like I may be embarrassed for some reason, I typically respond with a different emotion, whether it's laughing at the situation or getting angry at the situation. It all really depends on the situation. Like, I remember once, way back when I was in high school, I don't think I ever even told anyone this story, but I remember I was on a boat with a couple of my high school pals, and we had a couple girls out with us, and we were drinking, you know, stuff you're not supposed to do when you're an underage kid. And we were by ourselves, no parental supervision. We were probably like 17 years old. And I remember we were playing strip poker, and I lost a bet, so I ended up having to come out in my underwear. And I like burst out of the bathroom, and just my underwear was like dancing around, you know, the boat. And that was embarrassing as hell to have to do that because I lost in strip poker, but at the same time it was also funny. So, you know, I tried to make it a funny thing so that it wouldn't be something that people would be like, remember as, wow, that's an embarrassing thing that Phil had to do, you know. Quite honestly, I've never had a moment where it was kind of like, you know, ha ha, he completely screwed up or whatever. I would say one of the things that happened to me that I think it was more scary than embarrassing, but definitely kind of gave me attention, which I didn't want, was in high school. Another time in high school, all these high school stories. I remember there was a time when, I don't know if I had just not been drinking enough water or liquids or whatever. I don't know what exactly it was, but I was in a class, and all of a sudden I started to feel really faint-headed, like I was going to pass out. And the next thing you know, my eyesight completely cracked. I saw nothing. I was blind. I saw nothing. I was like, I saw just blackness. And I was like, okay, remain calm. You know, I remain calm. I think I'm going to be okay. I'll just sit here and I'll chill. I sat there for about 5 minutes with no eyesight, which I said, there's something wrong here, seriously. So I remember raising my hand and telling the teacher, of all people, the teacher was the principal of the school. Yeah, I was in a special class that the principal was teaching. And I said, I really don't think I'm well. I can't even really see right now. I need some help. So he actually had someone walk me to the nurse because I couldn't see. By the time I got into the nurse, I laid down. And I remember laying down in the nurse's office feeling so lightheaded, and then my eyesight came back. But that was pretty embarrassing because after that, people were like, you know, what the hell happened to you? And really, there was never any diagnosis. They actually brought me to the hospital and everything. And there was no diagnosis. It was just, I don't know, dehydration. It was very odd. No one ever figured out what the hell it was that happened to me, and it never happened again in my life. So it was a really odd situation. Like I said, there was never like a moment that definitively stands out as, oh, you know, I was walking, my pants flew off or something, or, you know, something silly like that, or I dropped a bunch of plates in front of everyone, you know, nothing like that. Well, I guess one thing that happened recently, well, not really recently, years ago, I remember it was like 2011, or it might have been earlier than that, it might have been like 2010. I was at a Street Fighter tournament. This was in my early YouTube fame, right? And it was either 2009 or 2010, and I remember this was a tournament that I had gone to, and I had hurt my neck earlier in the week, okay? So I had my back injury, but I also had hurt my neck, and I couldn't feel my thumb. In fact, I had numbness in my thumb and all the way down my arm. And I gone to this tournament because I already booked tickets and everything for it. I went to this tournament. So it was right after the launch of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I remember now. And I had my joystick in my hand, and I was going to put it down. And as I was doing this, my whole thumb like had no feeling, so it gave out, and I dropped the joystick, and it fell behind the live stream that was going on during the tournament, and the whole stream crapped out because I knocked a cable out, and it was my fault. And I felt bad. Of course, there was nothing really important going on at the time, which was good. But I felt bad because the whole stream now dead because my stupid fucking thumb. Luckily, I never had that issue again after that. My thumb feeling came back, and, I never had a neck issue again. So those are just some examples. I can't really give you a definitive example of, what is this one standout moment, because I don't think there ever really was one. Your next question was, do I believe in superstitions or the supernatural? And let me put it this way. I am not a huge skeptic to the point where I don't believe that there's any possibility that it exists. Obviously, if there's so many people that have talked about the supernatural, right? Oh, there's ghosts, or there's another dimension, or there's, you know what I mean? Like all these otherworldly things. And so you have to kind of believe that there's got to be a thread of truth somewhere in there. People don't just make shit up out of thin air. There's got to be a thread of truth somewhere in these things. And I don't know what the thread of truth is. I don't definitively believe in ghosts. I don't believe in hauntings. I don't believe in spooks, monsters, all these supernatural, the otherworldly stuff that people talk about all the time. I am a person that tends to rely on the concrete, the physical, logic, that kind of stuff. And I kind of base my life around it. So even though I've never seen a ghost, I've never heard, anything, nothing. I never had an experience like that. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't necessarily believe someone who says they had, but what I would like is for real investigation, experimentation into that kind of stuff, because maybe there is something that we don't know. What I hate is when I see these TV shows like Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures or Ghost Bullshit, where everything is now over-dramatized. When Ghost Hunters first started on television, it seemed pretty legit. They used all the scientific stuff, and 9 times out of 10 when they investigated, they were like, we really didn't find any definitive evidence, but there were a few things that were a little weird. We can't explain them, so maybe there is something to it, but we didn't find definitive evidence of any kind of a haunting. Then all of a sudden, you watch 4 or 5 seasons in, oh my god, everything's over-dramatized. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? And you're like, no, I'm watching the fucking show and I didn't hear anything. What are they talking about? And it's like, they over-dramatize it to get hype so that there's more attention and they'll actually make money doing it rather than how it used to be legit. I wish there were, legit people who had funds who would do it. But the problem is it's not interesting, right? If someone goes out to a legit investigation of a supernatural phenomenon, or we think there's a monster that lives in this area of a Bigfoot or whatever, and they went out with a giant crew, millions of dollars, and they actually investigated and did all this stuff, and they found nothing, no one would care. And that's the problem. You need to get something out of it, right? And if there's no guarantee, no one will do it. And that's unfortunate, because it's really through experimentation that we find new things. So maybe there is truth to some of these things that we don't know. But I don't believe in superstition. I don't believe in anything supernatural. And in that regard, I'm kind of like a very down-to-earth, logic-based person versus people who are very, there's spirits and there's this and that going on. I'm not like that at all. Your third question was about my favorite music, artists, and bands. And the bottom line is I don't listen to music. I don't anymore. There was a time in my life when I was in early, elementary school, grade school, whatever you call it, up through high school when I did listen to music. Even early college years, I listened to music. And it varied greatly. When I started out, I was listening more to, say, kind of rock bands of the time. Like I remember in the late 80s, early 90s, some of the more popular things that were around, Stone Temple Pilots, Green Day when they just were coming out, new Green Day when they were a new hot band. I'm trying to think of things of that early era. God, it's so hard to go that far back in my head and remember what I used to listen to. Early 90s, like Bush. Bush was huge. And then as the 90s started to progress a little bit later on in the 90s, I got from more rock to more alternative kind of a combination. So Collective Soul, Red Hot Chili Peppers were really big at the time. Stuff like that, kind of more middle of the road, mellow kind of rock. I was never like heavy metal. There was a lot of metal out at the time. Metallica at the time I was never like super into them, even though I did like stuff like that. It wasn't like crazy. Oh my God, I'm so crazy over it. And then I remember during high school and college, the big thing was rap. Like everywhere, all anyone talked about was rap. I hated rap. I really did. I hated that rap hip-hop movement. But eventually my friends liked it so much that I ended up listening to things like Eminem, Dr. Dre, a little bit of Tupac, that kind of stuff for a little while. About a year to 2 years, I was listening to that kind of stuff with my friends as we went places. But then that was kind of the era, I'd be honest. That was kind of the era after my early college days of, say, I graduated in the year 2004, so probably 2000 to 2002 were my days when I was really listening to music. That was it. After that, I stopped buying CDs. Everything went digital anyway, so any music you wanted, you could get free on your computer, and it really was that era of no longer having to spend money to get music. you can get whatever you wanted on the internet or listen to it whenever, that it was like, it's not a big part of my life anymore. I don't buy CDs. I didn't listen to it. I was busy, doing other stuff, and I really didn't care that much about music. And the thing is, I like music. I get into it. If I play a game, I can usually memorize the songs. I've said multiple times over the past few weeks how playing Persona 4 ingrained some of those songs into my head, and I wake up now and I still hear them, like dun 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 dun. They're caught in there. And they probably will never leave me because I have a mind for music. If I hear a catchy tune or whatever, I'll never forget it. I can remember lyrics from songs 20, 30 years old. It's funny because recently I've been watching this show called Fraggle Rock. It's this puppet show with Jim Henson's Muppets before, any of this modern Muppets. We're talking the 1980s when it was the real, the Jim Henson before he passed away. Now it's his son that owns the company. But when he was doing the Muppets, they had this show called Fraggle Rock for kids, and it was all musical stuff. I remember the songs, like we're watching it, and I'm like, I remember this song. I could sing it word for word, and it's crazy that that's kind of the mind that I have. But I never really got into music too much. It wasn't like I ever got into instruments or anything. And like I said, after that era of high school years, I kind of just fell out of it. And not that I don't like music, but it's not a major part of my life. I don't sit here and listen to music. I don't really, you know what I mean? The most music I listen to right now is every once in a while I listen to some classical music, if you can believe it. Classical music is nice and calming. I listen to it every once in a while at night when I'm trying to go to sleep. Your final question, Chris, I almost get the feeling you're not going to like the answer, and I hate to say it. Your question is, if there were 5 famous people, dead or alive, who I would like to go to dinner with, or have a dinner with, or whatever, who would it be? And I hate to say this, because I kind of answered questions like this before, and if people think it's a cop-out, but it's not. The answer that I have for you is no one. I wouldn't want to have dinner with anyone. And you might say, well, why? I don't understand. Wouldn't it be cool to have dinner with so-and-so who you idolize, or so-and-so who you see in movies? My answer is no. And the reason I say that is because I am adamantly of the belief that people are people. I don't think that because some person's been on TV, because some person's a big gamer, a big YouTuber, because some person is famous for science, because some person's a celebrity or whatever, even, athlete, a lot of people have, wrestlers, athletes, all that stuff. I don't look up to people like that, like, wow, you know what I mean? And although you can get moments of inspiration from maybe a life story of someone who overcame obstacles and stuff, to me, people are people. So it's not like, oh, I'm awestruck. I used to be a big fan of Howard Stern. I was never like awestruck. If I ever ran into Howard Stern in real life, I never would have been like, wow. In fact, the one or two people who I've ever really seen in real life, I remember one of them that I met was Steven Richards. He was a famous pro wrestler in the 1990s, especially in ECW wrestling. And I've seen him do countless matches. He was on TV in WWE doing big stuff. And then he got released. Like, that was it. He was gone for a while, maybe 2-3 years. He hadn't been on TV. And I was working at Best Buy at the time, and he was in my store. And I ran into him, and I said, oh, you're Steven Richards, huh? He's like, yeah, that's me. Good to meet you. Shook his hand or whatever. I said, what the heck happened? Why'd they take you off TV? It's ridiculous. You were a good wrestler. I actually liked what you did. And he said, you want to know the truth? Yeah, I went to a Christmas party, and a VP was all over my wife, and I punched the shit out of him. And since then, the VP had a stick up his ass about me to the point where they released me 2 months later, and that was it. After that, I haven't been able to get any jobs. They basically blacklisted me in the industry. I was like, okay, wow, well, that's a shame. Thanks for the story. And that was it. It wasn't like, oh my God, Stevie Richards. I was down on my knees, wow, yeah, or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been like that. I don't know. People ask me when I was in high school, who do you aspire to be? No one. Me. I want to be me. I don't want to be someone else's story or be like someone else. I want to be me. And people would say, well, who do you idolize? No one. Who do you look up to? No one. I want to make my own story. I want to tread my own ground. I don't want to say that I based my life off of the actions of this person or this person. And although there are lots of people who undoubtedly I would compare myself to, like I said, Howard Stern. Howard Stern was a groundbreaking person in the realm of media, in particular radio, where he did things that were crazy and out of control, but they were also very popular because of that. He was so different. He knew entertainment, even though he pushed the boundaries of it every day. When I started on YouTube, I was kind of the same person. No, I'm not going to do a walkthrough. I'm going to do a playthrough. I'm going to give my own honest commentary. I'm going to do zany things. And, things change over time because now you've got people who've completely bastardized that formula and said, well, I saw what Darkside Phil was doing, but instead I'm going to be a clown and I'm going to completely act as a stupid character on camera. And these people are now rich. So, they took my formula and ran with it. But, there are people who I idolize. But there's no one who I would say I absolutely want to spend time with. I couldn't tell you 5 people right now who, if I had the opportunity, I would want to spend time with. I don't know. Even you would say, gee, YouTubers? I wouldn't even want to spend time with YouTubers because my My path is very different from their path, and I know a lot of the ways to be successful on YouTube, and I don't want to do those ways. I want to be my own person, you know? So even, what could I learn from someone like, you know, a big gaming YouTuber? Probably nothing. I learned how they did it. Wow, that's great. Good for you. I don't care. I don't want to do that. You know, I don't know. I've always kind of been that kind of person. A lot of people think that that's like stingy or even elitist. No, I don't think that I'm better. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that I'm better than anyone. Where I'm better than everyone and no one would be, you know, it'd be an honor to have dinner with me. No, I don't think that. It's quite the opposite. I think everyone is the same. Everyone's just a person on this planet. And no one's better or worse than anyone else, even though some people might have insight and some people might be able to help you with advice. It doesn't mean that there's someone who you should fucking idolize and want to spend time with. And that's why I'm kind of like, I wouldn't invite anyone to a dinner if I had the opportunity, because I don't think that that's anything that's even legit. I think that that would be kind of a silly thing. You know, if there was someone who was cool and fun to talk with personably, that's who. I don't care if you're a celebrity or you're Joe Blow off the street who I've never met before. If you're a funny, entertaining person, you're personable and you can get along with, you have a fun conversation, have a laugh. That's who I want to have dinner with. I could care less if you're a famous person or not. And that's kind of why that question for me is a non-question. Okay, so there's your answers to your questions. Like I said, I don't know if you're actually satisfied with the answers that I gave you or not. I was trying to be honest. You know me, I'm always honest. I'm the most honest person that you can ask a question. I'll tell you anything, and, you know, I'm trying to answer honestly from the questions you gave me. I hope that you're satisfied. I hope the video quality is all right. I'm actually using my webcam. For some other people who I did private videos with, I actually used my camera, my digital camera, but I didn't do that this time because I'm actually charging the battery. I'm going to be doing something with my digital camera in a few minutes here, so I actually wanted to, you know, do this at a high quality and not have to wait around for the battery to charge or whatever. So I hope that it was good. I hope that you enjoyed your private video. And feel free, if you want to share this with others, you can. You don't have to. It's completely up to you. It could be your own private thing forever, or you could share it with others if you like to. It's totally up to you. But thank you, Chris, so much for your support. I so appreciate it. And I just want to make something clear, because I've said this every month to everyone. Don't expect that I'm going to think that people like you are going to keep making giant, you know, pledges like that. I don't. It's very the contrary. You know, it's great that every month people are making large pledges, but this works by having lots of people giving a little bit every month. If I could get several hundred people to give a tiny little bit every month, $1, $5, that's how Patreon is successful. And I'm very happy that since I started in February, those who've given a lot, they go down to a little. You know what I mean? By no means am I going to say, oh man, poor, you know, these people didn't give as much next month. That's crazy. And I hope that you enjoy your shirt as well, which is en route to you. We did mail it this week, so it should be reaching you within a week or two. I don't know how long it takes to mail out to Finland. I guess we'll have to see how long it takes to get out there, but you will be getting your t-shirt soon as well, okay? All right. That is it. Thank you very much for everything. I appreciate it. I guess we'll end the video here, and I hope that you enjoy all the content I'll be putting out shortly. Batman coming up right around the corner, right? That's going to be a good one. Fingers crossed my internet works for it. We'll see. I got Comcast out here today. We'll see if they get to fixing it or not. We know how they work. But thank you, and peace out. See you later.